So now we're going to practice finding the actual inverses of functions. So first of all, our notation is going to be f of x and the inverse. This little -1 means I'm looking for the inverse. So the inverse of f of x. So what we do is we remind ourselves that f of x is another way of writing y. So I have y equals x minus 4. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my x's and y's and solve for y. So if you don't remember anything else from this video, please remember this one point, is I am going to switch my x's and my y's. So wherever I see a y, I'm writing an x, and wherever I see an x, I'm writing a y. Okay? You see that? You see how these were reversed and these were reversed, and everything else stayed the same. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for y. I'm going to get y by itself. I'm going to undo the -4, and I'm going to undo the square root. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to square both sides, and then I end up getting x squared equals, and remember these two guys cancel each other out, so I just have y minus 4, and then I can add 4 to both sides. So x squared plus 4, equals y. So the inverse, the way that we say this is we say the inverse, f of x's inverse is x squared plus 4. So the inverse is actually x squared plus 4. Okay, so you might see, and you're going to practice for homework some problems where we give you the function and I ask you to find the inverse. Okay, so the next thing that you need to do is you need to be able to verify if in fact things are inverses of each other. So let me get rid of some of this stuff for us. So if they are in fact inverses of each other, so what if we gave you two functions and I said, f of x, equals x minus 3 cubed minus 4, plus 4. Oops, that should be a plus. And then I gave another function. I have to give it a different letter if I'm talking about another function. So let's say g of x is the cube root of x minus 4 plus 3. Okay, so I'm going to handle these separately. I'm going to separate these two, and I'm going to find the inverses separately. So let's first find the inverse of f of x. So I'm going to rewrite this as, y equals x minus 3 cubed plus 4. And now I'm going to switch, right? I want to switch my x's and my y's. So I'm going to get x equals y minus 3 cubed plus 4. And now I'm going to get this y by itself. I have to undo the -3, the cube, and the 4. So one at a time, I'm going to do, So x minus 4 equals y minus 3 cubed. And now I can cube root both sides. So I'm going to get the cube root of x minus 4 equals y minus 3. And then I add 3 to both sides. So the cube root of x minus 4 plus 3 equals y. So first thing I want you to notice is that this right here is exactly what I have up here, right? The cube root of x minus 4 plus 3. Cube root of x minus 4 plus 3. So that means this, g of x, is the inverse of my f of x function. But if I ask you to verify that they are inverses of each other, it has to go both ways. I mean, that kind of makes sense, is that you have to say that this is the inverse of, f of x is the inverse of g of x, and g of x is the inverse of f of x. So we have only verified it one way so far. We have verified that g of x is the inverse of f of x, but we have to do it both ways. So on a separate column, let's go ahead and solve this other one. So let's say, okay, well this is y equals the cube root of x minus 4 plus 3, and switch our x's and our y's. So cube root of y minus 4 plus 3. Okay, and then I'm going to do x minus 3. Okay, and now look at this. So x minus 3 cubed plus 4, and I have x minus 3 cubed plus 4. So that means that f of x is the inverse of my g of x. So they are in fact, inverses of each other because it worked both ways. Sometimes it can happen where in one column you'll get the inverse that will work out properly, but in the other column you will not. So you do need to make sure and go through the effort of testing them both.